Hi everyone. Welcome to this week's FPL podcast. We're going to take a look at the previous game week and also the upcoming game week, which has some great fixtures. So we have Prakash, Rohan, and Bajaj with us tonight. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi.
So let's start off with Rohan. How did you do last week?
Well, last week was really bad for me. I had 44 points, which is below average. My defender did decent. I had Zinchenko and Dinya, but the midfield was a little weak. The captain failed. I had Sterling as my captain. And then forward, since I had Martial, I had to play Greenwood, and he just had 1 point. So it was a bad week for me.
Okay. And Bajaj, what about you? How was your week?
Yeah, and surprisingly, my week was very decent. I I got like 71 points. In fact, I just checked. I got 71 points, and it was mainly due to Jamie Vardy. I captained him, got 32 points for it, and I had De Bruyne, Aubameyang, and Robertson giving me the points. Except them, I also had Martial, as Rohan said. I also had Ceballos, but I think so he came off the bench and didn't do much. So all in all, yeah, I could have gotten way more, but it's okay. I'm very satisfied with my mediocre team getting 71 points.
Uh, I wouldn't call that mediocre. That's actually quite good. And I think captaining Vardy was a great move. So, he was a real star last week. I had a pretty good game week myself. I got 72 points mainly due to Aguero as my captain. So that worked out pretty well. And yeah, Rohan, I also took a gamble on playing Greenwood, but unfortunately that didn't work out. So, anyway, sticking on the topic of Vardy, so Bajaj, what do you think? He has a couple of tough fixtures, but after that the fixtures get better. So I guess you'll be hanging on to him, right?
Yeah, I believe, see, even if the fixtures are tough, you see, he faces United this weekend. United
Yeah,
are very vulnerable right now, if you see. So I would
agreed.
not bet against Vardy for this match, and then the next weekend is also Tottenham. So I wouldn't actually see Vardy not scoring or not having chances to convert. Whether he does or not, that depends because so far this season Vardy has been on off. I think he arrived in the season the last weekend because before that he was very ordinary in finishing so far this season. And I think in the next 10 fixtures they only face United, Tottenham, and Liverpool.
Yeah,
And besides Liverpool, I don't see any fixture that Vardy cannot score in.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's always loved playing against the top six, hasn't he? And
Yeah,
I mean, he's like been a goal machine for Leicester, and the previous seasons he's always been pretty consistent. So I guess that's a really good move having him. And at this point, I think he's still considered a differential. He's not in a lot of teams, so yeah, I guess that's a
yeah,
good move.
he's in under 9% of the teams as far as I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And anyway, so the first international break is just behind us, and I mean, I know we are all just waiting to get back into the next game week. So over the international break, any any interesting results you noticed, Rohan, from an FPL point of view?
Well, I was happy that Kane was able to bag a hat trick over Bulgaria because I have him on my team and I'm expecting results because I've spent 11 on him. So
Yeah.
hopefully he's back in form. And Dan James as well, he scored a goal, so he seems to be in quite some good form. But I don't want to jinx my own team, so that's why I'm keeping away from United players for now.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of confidence in the United team right now, including the defense. So I guess we'll have to see how that goes. So, Bajaj, what about you? Any points
I
from the
mean,
international
talking about the
week?
international results and United, you see, Wan Bissaka withdrew actually due to an
Yeah,
injury. So it'll be interesting to see if he recovers in time for the game. Apart from that, I didn't see anything much in particular except, as Rohan mentioned, the Kane hat trick because he
yeah,
faces Crystal Palace this weekend and
yes,
he could really bag some goals.
absolutely. And I mean, of course, Sterling and KDB were at it again, weren't they? Sterling got
Exactly.
a goal in 3 assists, and KDB replicated the same in his game. So yeah, I guess a lot of people have started bringing him in now. He's already risen in price to 9.8. So what do you guys think? KDB is, I mean, essential right now, Rohan?
Yeah, that is madness. The way he has risen in FPL, like a direct jump to 9.8. And the only problem I see in involving him is Sterling is also on a price raise. He's on 12.3, and I had him at a early discount. The main problem is if you swap them and then the other one scores, it's a heartbreaker. So I'm still sticking with Sterling for now.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's like week in, week out, it's the same thing, like which of the three do you pick? Do you manage to get in all three, or like is it an overload? Of Sterling, Aguero, and KDB, because one scores and you don't have them, and then you feel like you're missing out. But
I think it is an overload because they are very costly. Like Aguero and Sterling are too costly, and then
yeah,
getting in De Bruyne as well. Then you
yeah,
don't have room for a Salah or Kane maybe. So
true.
it's a really big gamble. So if City, I mean, you don't see that happening quite often where City blanks, but then if
Yeah,
it does happen, then you have a really bad game week.
Yeah, it's a case of having all your eggs in one basket, right? That's why I have Aubameyang. I know if Arsenal scores or have a good game, Aubameyang will play an important role in it. Not quite sure about the overall viability over Salah and everyone, but he seems like a decent pick.
And same
yeah,
is the case with Salah and Mane. Over there, you have a debate on whom to pick and whom to drop. So currently, I'm still sticking with Salah because I just can't have that, heartbreak
yeah.
later on. Yeah.
Also, we did
So the
not
way,
talk
yeah,
about Maguire. Over the international break, England conceded a lot against Kosovo, and I actually have their starting centre back partnership in my FPL team. Harry
oh,
Maguire and Michael Keane.
okay, interesting picks. So yeah, coming back to the main conundrum of the premium attackers. So the way I see it, I guess if you have maybe even two or three of them, I think you just stick with them over the course of the season, because it's just going to even out. So they don't score one week and the other guy scores. You don't jump ship. I guess you guess you just stick to who you have, and I guess over the course of the season it'll definitely even out. And yeah, definitely putting all your eggs into one basket probably doesn't make a lot of sense. So you balance out your team, maybe have two of them, or at even three if you manage to get them in. So yeah, that would be a good move.
I mean, this year we are very lucky. I mean, not this year. Every year we are lucky to find some hidden gems, some very cheap alternatives. So if people are very keen to grab all of them, they can still grab all of them and have a decent team this season so far.
Yeah, and so far, Pookie and Barnes seems to be, leading the race to be
Yeah,
those good
definitely.
differentials. Yeah.
So yeah, one more thing is Norwich. I mean, they blanked last week. I guess that was uh, bound to come at some point. So talking about Pookie and Cantwell, I mean, almost everyone are on their bandwagon right now. So do you think their early season performances are sustainable, Rohan?
Uh, for Pookie, I think so. Yeah, he'll be involved in a lot of goals since Norwich play an attacking game. So I mean, they don't care about you know leaking goals. But Pookie will find his way in the Premier League as well. He's had a great season last season in the Championship, and this season also he'll be involved in most of their goals. But for Cantwell, I'm not sure because Cantwell will have an assist or two. But I mean, he'll be on your bench most of the season.
Yeah, but at his price point, I guess I wouldn't complain for an assist here and there.
Yeah, right.
The only yeah, but the only problem with the bench fodder is players like Cantwell, Hayden, so they remain on your bench most of the season, and the problem is the few assists they pick up here and there, those games they are most probably on your bench. So unless you're playing them week in and week out, you're most probably going to miss their few assists here and there. So that's the thing. Cantwell looks promising though. He actually came in. He actually subbed in. For the guy who was injured, but now he seems to have cemented his starting place. So it'll be interesting to see as the weeks go on.
I'd actually prefer Lundstram over Cantwell going forward.
Yeah, of course. Lundstrom is the early season favorite out of position player. I mean, a defender playing in midfield, box to box. Yeah,
So he can also provide goals or assists. But in addition, if Sheffield get a clean
pick up a
sheet, he'll
clean
also give
sheet.
you points for clean sheet.
Absolutely, that's just going to be an added bonus. So that's pretty great. Moving on. So let's talk about Callum Wilson. So at the beginning of the season, uh, he started off at 8 million. So a lot of people thought that was quite expensive, but he's been pretty consistent over the last few seasons. So quite a few people got him in. But now, surprisingly, even though he's had a goal involvement for each of the last 4 weeks, a lot of people seem to be shipping him out. He's actually suffered a drop in price. I think he's 7.8 at the moment. So
Yeah,
what do you think? Are they being very hasty shipping him out, Bajaj?
I mean, it's just the early season thing, right? People are seeing Pookie score a hat trick, people are seeing Barnes score a brace, and then there's Haller scoring a brace. Wilson is
Yeah.
doing all right. He's doing, in fact, good, but he has provided 3 assists. Four of those, three of those four goal involvements were assists. So he's actually bagged 5 points each of the 4 games so far, and that is not ideal for people who are looking at Pookie, let's say Barnes, Haller, or even the pricey forwards like Wardy.
Exactly, and like you said, Bajaj, they had to jump on the bandwagon because uh, Wilson is priced at 8 or was priced at 8, and then Pookie and Barnes were performing so well, so they had to make that transfer. So that's why you see a lot of players opting for a Pookie or a Barnes over Callum Wilson.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and all the players you have mentioned, they are all priced significantly lower. I mean, even the most expensive out of the guys you mentioned, Haller is only 7.5. And, with West Ham's favorable fixtures coming up, uh, I think he's a very promising uh, player to watch out for. So that is a very interesting point, definitely. So, I mean, talking about Burnley, so I mean, we know Barnes has uh, gotten off to a lightning start, but that's quite interesting because in the preseason it was his other strike partner Wood who was doing all the scoring. He had, I think, 9 goals in preseason, and he's completely blanked in the first 4 weeks. So, do you think that's bound to change sometime, Rohan?
Well, I hope Barnes continues his form. He's picked up a slight injury, but he'll be fit to play in the next match. And I think Barnes will be involved in most of the goals from now onwards as well, either scoring them or assisting them. He should be fine.
Yeah. And Bajaj, what do you think? I mean, if you're given a choice right now, because Wood has actually suffered a drop in price. He's 6.3. So he's a slightly cheaper option for those looking to get into the Burnley attack, those who might be priced out by a couple of points. So do you think Chris Wood is a suitable alternative?
I don't really think so, because see, Barnes, his movement is better than Chris Wood, is what I feel, and due to that, he gets on the end of more chances, and also with the favorable fixtures coming in, Barnes may just ride the trail of form for now.
I mean, definitely. I mean, if you have Barnes, you're obviously going to stick with him. But I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that Wood could be a differential going in because I do feel his form's going to change at some point. And at 6.3, if you cannot afford Barnes for any reason at 6.7, I think he may be a viable alternative to get in. So just as a differential. So guys, what do you think about the Burnley defense, Bajaj?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before they start to ship in goals, because Burnley has always been a form team to me. Like, they go on a trail of form, they have very good results, and then they also go on a horrendous run of results as well. I actually have Eric Peters in my team, but apart from him, I wouldn't actually recommend anyone. Even Peters is there because he can provide assists on a regular basis, although he has provided assist in only one game, I think so, the opening fixture.
Yeah, Burnley at home can, cause problems to the opposing teams, but like the mid-table teams or the lower-end teams. So that's why I've also kept Peters for now. So, and I would play him on the, you know, uh, home fixtures where they have a better chance of keeping a clean sheet. But otherwise, he can score goals as well. So he's a good person to have in your team at just 4.6.
All right. So moving on. So the upcoming game week, we have some great fixtures for the top teams. So we have Liverpool at home to Newcastle, uh, City are away to Norwich. So that promises to be a goal fest for City, of course. And yes, Tottenham play Crystal Palace at home. So it's going to be a captaincy headache this week, isn't it? Rohan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a big headache for me. For now, I mean, I have decided to back Harry Kane just because he, bagged a hat trick. But then again, missing out on a goal fest for City would be, very bad for me. So it's a big confusion between Sterling and Kane, but for now I'm going with Kane.
Okay, and you are not considering Salah at home to Newcastle?
Salah as well, but I am more confident in Kane.
All right, all right. And Bajaj, what about you?
I mean, I'd just like to throw caution to the wind here. You mentioned Salah. Newcastle have already shocked one top six team, right? Away from home. So I wouldn't actually want to take that risk. So neither would I go for any Liverpool player to captain this weekend, or
Okay,
neither would I go for any Spurs player because they've already shown inconsistency in the game so far. So it would be down to City players like KDB or Sterling, or maybe an outside chance to Aubameyang or even Richarlison of Everton.
interesting picks.
Yeah, he scored 2 goals last weekend. I mean, last match day, and he's up against Bournemouth this weekend.
Yeah, and Bournemouth, yeah. I mean, the Bournemouth defense doesn't look promising at the moment. So yes,
Yeah,
Richarlison could be in, about to hit some top form.
yeah. So they've failed to keep a clean sheet so far in the 4 games, Bournemouth.
Right, right. Those are some really good points. So me personally, I mean, I have Sterling, Aguero, and Salah. So as yet, I'm a little undecided because we know the Champions League fixtures are coming up starting midweek. So there's going to be an element of rotation in City's team. So if they are winning maybe 2-0, 3-0 up by 60, you could see Aguero, Sterling, maybe Aguero getting subbed off a little early. So because that's like usually been the case. Not sure if Jesus is fit to play, but yeah, we could see a few early substitutions this week as the first round of Champions League fixtures are coming up. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. So Rohan, any players on your watch list right now? Like you're keeping a tab on them, looking to bring them in at some point down the line?
Uh, Kevin De Bruyne and Holler for now, because I would, eventually like having a cheaper option with De Bruyne instead of Sterling, because I want to make room for Aguero in my team. So that's one thing that I have in mind. And then again, I have a eye on on Mount. So uh, yeah, I want to have Mount in my team as well at some point of time. So I'm just still a bit skeptical about his performances, but I know he'll bag a lot of goals this season.
Yeah, I already have Mount in my team. So as Rohan said, Mount is definitely one on the watch list if you don't have him in your team. Apart from him, Haller I think so is a very very good option as Rohan said again. And also
Great
another
point.
player I'm watching is Andre Gray, the Watford forward.
Yeah,
He has a very tough run of fixtures right now, which is why I don't have him in my team. But he
yeah,
suffered a dip in price. I think it's 5.9 right now, if I'm
yeah.
correct. So I'm actually keeping a very close look on Andre Gray, and once the fixtures are done, I actually want to bring him in.
All right. So yeah, Watford have just had a change of manager. So maybe the next couple of game weeks will tell us what's their style. I mean, he's not new to the team. He was with them a couple of years back. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back. So yeah, that's good. Prakash, would you like to join us and give us a few statistics which we can look at over the last 4 weeks?
So hi guys, this is a new section we are trying out. It's called the stat attack. So I'm looking at some of these are borrowed from, credited to fantasy betting sites and football fix, and a few popular threads as well. So looking at game week 4 overachievers and underachievers, there is no surprise to guessing who are the overachievers in terms of players. It was Aguero, Richarlison, and Vardy, who averaged around plus 1.51, all of them. And team wise, it was Wolves, Everton, and of course they faced each other and had a XG of 1.4 plus. That's how much they overachieved. And Sheffield were also surprisingly involved by 0.99. And if you look at underachievers, it comes to Pulisic, Rashford, Trossard, and Cantwell. Uh, of course, Pulisic, it was expected. He's still pretty raw in the system. And Trossard, well, he's pretty injured for one, unluckily for him. And team wise, it is Manchester United 1.9. They have been underachieving. And Southampton are next with 0.77. And Norwich also have been there quite a bit, around 0.8, and Brighton have been at 0.84 despite facing City. So there are some of the number games. And looking at stray observations of average positions, if you're into formation observations, Arsenal's 4-3-3 was more of a 4-3-1-2 in an average format. Lacazette playing the number 10 role, and Dan James was as advanced as for Rashford. And of course, in Liverpool, it was most advanced was Salah. Of course, he's not giving any chances to Mane, so that's probably the reason. And Robertson is actually getting ahead more than TA, but TA is always bossing the play around and in the box, most shots on target. And Vardy is the most advanced player across all teams. That's pretty established. And Haller is the most advanced West Ham asset. Yarmolenko is just behind him, despite the scattered duo of Lanzini and Anderson. And Cantwell, you would have seen that his rise in cost is mostly because of the double hits that people are taking, and he's probably the chief enabler. That's why his price has risen. So, but in the playing positions, he's playing a slightly deeper role in even in the City game. And Zinchenko is playing more advanced than Walker. So he's always the player who is almost on the verge of getting an assist, but not yet there. And McNeil is actually more advanced than Barnes and Wood. And Wood is kind of a differential. I'll explain it later. Coming to the total 4 game weeks lookout, so how it stands is if you look at expected goals, Adam Smith leads at 7, and midfield it's Sterling is almost at a positive plus 3.66. It's almost obvious. And forward it's been Haller plus 3.88. And goal attempts is Lucadinha, Mason Mount, and Firmino. And if you look at shots inside the box, it's been Dawson, Sterling, and Pookie. And chances created, of course, this it's the predictable trio: TAA, KDB, and Callum Wilson, whom you mentioned that despite a price trip, his goal involvement has always been there. And it's a most interesting stat. I mean, like if you look at there is a stat called XFPL, expected FPL points. It's been more for Lundstram than Salah, despite Mo Salah having twice the number of points. But the problem with him is the upcoming number of fixtures that he's having. And if you look at XG for this season over 4 games, City has been on 9.58, United have been on 7.49, West Ham on 7.31, and other teams like Liverpool, Spurs, Southampton are hovering around 6.5 to 5.5. So if you look at current season XG without the penalty goals, it's Haller at 1.01, followed by the one who goes under the radar, Neil Maupay, is at 0.67, followed by Tammy 0.63, and then comes Barnes and Pookie. And if you look at seasonal expected goal difference, the early trends are Liverpool, City, and United have outstanding expected goals, and Chelsea and West Ham have been recovering after early shocks. And the most underwhelming teams have been Aston Villa and Newcastle in terms of the XG, expected goal trends. And of course, here's a very interesting defensive trend by Oliver Taylor. So there is a correlation with how do we establish a correlation between expected goals conceded and actual goals conceded. If you look at teams like Bournemouth, Spurs, and Arsenal, they have almost a perfect correlation. So the expected goals conceded for Bournemouth was around 8.19. They considered 8. Spurs has been on 6.38. They considered 6, and likewise for Arsenal. And the team that has actually overperformed is Crystal Palace. Their expected goals conceded has been at 5.62, but they still conceded only 2. So that's a bit of an anomaly in this case. And the strong teams are mostly Leicester, Liverpool, and City, who have almost a good correlation and also low goals conceded. And if you look at the like wider correlation, it's Burnley, West Ham, Wolves, and Chelsea. Chelsea, especially, they have an expected goals conceded at 5.39, but the goals conceded is almost around 9 because of the United game, obviously. So a clean sheet could be on their way. And a special debit on Ashley Barnes. If you look at game week 20 last season onwards, the top 3 players for shots in the box has been Salah, Aguero, and Barnes. All three of them have average around more than 50 shots. And the top three players for expected goals is Aubameyang, Aguero, and Barnes. All of them at 12.6 plus. So that's the reinforcement stat for Barnes if you're looking at him. There's an interesting argument between Daniel James and Mason Mount. So if you look at, obviously, if you're looking at a better impressive player for a system, it's been Dan James with more expected goals and actual goals scored as well. And he has been having more shots as well. But if you look at Mason Mount, Chelsea systems like it's more of a product. The attacking system is mostly concentrated on Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham as target man. So if you're looking at Mount's contributions, his expected goals is not way far off from Dan James. His shots involved is around 14, with shots on target as 7, and he is expected to continue the expected assists of around 0.26 per game. So that's a pretty that's his edge over Dan James. But if you look at the top scoring players with less than 10% ownership, it's Vardy heading at 28 points, followed by Silva, Richarlison, Haller, and James, all of them who have more than 20 points this season. So you could see that, you could sense that these are the players who could become the next bandwagon. So, and finally coming to the captaincy expected for this week is led by Sterling, followed by Aguero, and De Bruyne is also expected as a differential captain pick if you're looking at solid points if you own him. And one of my favorite tweets from this week, this almost resonates with my team. There are 4 reasons why I'm not captaining Mo Salah this weekend. First is Newcastle is set up to defend. Liverpool are overperforming their expected goals, and he's been on Twitter lately, so which could cause mental fatigue. And fourth is I don't own Mo Salah.
Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man. Some really interesting stats there for us to think about. So yeah, I mean, the name which really stands out from there is Haller, I think. I mean, with like we have like spoken about him again and again, but I think we cannot stress enough that he's a really exciting prospect, with their fixtures coming up. So he's definitely one to look out for. And of course, one more thing with Laporte injured. I mean, the chances of City's clean sheets. Guys, Rohan, what do you think?
Yeah, it seems a bit tricky. I have Zinchenko for now, but then again, that's the reason I want to, take him out and then get a Liverpool defender, because the City defense seems to be shaky at times. So, uh, it might be in trouble since Laporte is now injured.
So I guess if you have Zinchenko, we can just stick for now, and
Yeah.
maybe the next couple of games we'll have an idea as to how the City defense is holding up. So one more point from what Prakash made: Chelsea seem to be conceding more than expected. So they have a couple of tough fixtures coming up. Then after that, their fixtures ease out. So Bajaj, what do you think? A Chelsea defender on the horizon sometime?
I mean, it all depends on when Antonio Rudiger comes back, right? Because I don't believe Chelsea will stop leaking goals till Rudiger returns. They need some experience at the back and the centre back area. The two centre backs right now,
Yeah,
they aren't as valuable options for FPL in my eyes. And also,
yeah,
when you're talking about XA, I couldn't help but point towards United's XA. They should have allowed the least amount of goals in the league so far, according to the expected goals conceded thing. Allowed more, and that points towards possibly not taking Manchester United defenders in so early on right now. And neither should
mm,
we actually look to take David De Gea in, because whenever a team is conceding more than their expected amount, it always points towards the goalkeeper. And as far as stats that stood out from Prakash's um, short start attack was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He has the most expected goals in the league so far. I was actually kind of surprised to hear that statistic, because I thought it would for sure be Salah or Aguero or Sterling maybe.
yeah. Week in, week out.
Yeah, exactly. Because Aubameyang has faced strong opponents so far, and he
Yeah.
hasn't been seen to be on the end of so many chances as the XG points out. So it was a very fascinating start for me.
So yeah, that just brings me to Arsenal's front three last. So we had all three start: Lacazette, Aubameyang, and Pepe. So do you think Emery is actually going to be this attack-minded every week, Rohan? What do you think? Can we expect them to start every week, all three?
Well, it seems to be a good option to start them every week, but then I think it won't be the case week in, week out. He will have to, put Lacazette on bench every now and then. Uh, but that's what I feel. He'll be rotating them. Yeah.
Also, for the attacking nature in the forward line, he had to sacrifice Ceballos. And without Ceballos, Arsenal looked lost. It was only when Ceballos came on that Arsenal started nitpicking together and actually searching for teammates successfully on the field. They started playing football, their own brand of football, which they absolutely like to play.
I mean, he actually reminds me of Samir Nasri from both his playmaking and an FPL point of view. So
Also, the drop of shoulder, the shoulder drop, it's very similar.
yeah, yeah. So we can just hope he replicates Nasri's FPL points of many seasons.
Very subtle differences, but very, very identical. Nice point there.
So Bajaj, I'm giving you six options. If you're looking at anytime goal scoring defenders, who would you pick? Is it Van Dijk, Duffy, Digne, TA, or Robertson?
I think I would actually prefer Robertson and Digne, like one from those two, because Robertson provides a lot of assists and he is more of a guaranteed starter compared to TA, like Trent Alexander-Arnold, because Klopp likes rotating TA and Joe Gomez from time to time, but Robertson is almost a shoe-in on the left side.
I guess that's a wrap for this week. So thanks everyone for being here, Rohan, Bajaj, and Prakash. So yeah, all the best to everyone for a great game week.
Yep. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Good luck.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning into our FPL podcast. Make sure you also check out the football podcast we did with myself, Daniel, Guha, and Danke. Thank you for tuning in.